Here's an awkward truth about this video. This video is a sales asset, and right now it's doing its job on you. It exists because half the people we reach out to say we already do LinkedIn. And I can't exactly tell them that they're doing it badly. So instead of arguing, I generally send them to a video or a series of videos like this to explain how to do it right. They watch it, they see the standard, and then they work it out for themselves. That's what content is actually for in an outbound system, as in content that helps you sell. It's not about getting likes or staying visible. It's about closing arguments before they even start. We build this layer for dozens of B2B companies, and it takes 6 or 8 pieces of content built at once. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly what they are and how to build them for your business. And don't worry, you absolutely do not need to become an influencer. In fact, that'll probably damage your brand. So just do what we say here and you'll be good. Most B2B content you see is built for the feed and built for virality. Daily posts, carousels, visibility, staying top of mind, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, it has a job, but it's probably not the job that you need it for if the goal of you being on LinkedIn is to close deals or close contracts. On the other side, every sales conversation you're probably having hits the same 5 or 6 walls. They might say, okay, we're already doing that. How are you different? Will it work in our industry? What does it cost? How do I know you're not like the last person? So most companies sort of have these same objections over and over. Cornerstone content is the thing that'll help you break down those layers and those walls. It's a handful of pieces of content. It could be a case study, your method, the standard you hold, an honest FAQ, each one answering objections so well that you never have to make the argument live again. You build them once and you use them every single day. They were evergreen. So how to create it? First, you need to know the objections, then you need to build the content around them, and then you need to put them to work in your outbound sequences, which is almost the part that nobody does because they think content is something else. So I created a few tools and frameworks that'll help you get started with all this. It's in the link below the video, so go and grab that. So you need a list of objections. You probably know a few of them in your head, but the easiest way to find them all is every sales call you've ever had starts with the same handful of questions and stalls in the same handful of doubts. So you can either write them down, or easier, if you have all the transcripts, go download them, put them into AI, and just ask AI what they are. If you got a team or other people taking your sales calls, that's actually even better. Get all their transcripts too and ask the same question. By the end of it, you should have a list of 6, 7, or 8 buckets of objections that you get. I say bucket because it's not always worded exactly the same, but when you peel it back, it's sort of the same question. Now you flip those objections, the list, on its head, and the questions or the problems that they actually become the titles of these pieces of content. You want to try and get as close to using the specific words as possible that your prospects are using so that when they see it, it'll resonate with them. Go and do that tonight. Either pause this video and go do it now or do it later on. It should take you about 20 minutes if you have all those transcripts, and it's a one and done thing. Now for building the content. So think of it this way. 1 piece of content per 1 objection. The format matters less than the job. So it could be, does this actually work? That's going to be a case study to prove that it has worked in the past. Ideally, for a company just like the person who is watching. A real campaign, real numbers, you can anonymize any data, but you want to try and show that you're doing the work on the ground, because these are numbers that you're going to be standing on. And these are the numbers that are going to be in people's mind when they're coming to speak to you after watching the videos. If you get asked a lot, how are you different? That's going to be your method. You're going to show the step-by-step process in a lot of detail. It's not claims, it's what you're actually doing. So show behind the curtains. This video you're watching right now is exactly that. It's our system, 1 stage per video. A question everyone dodges: pricing, timelines, how long to get results, what happens when it goes wrong. That's your FAQ answered straight. The prospect already has doubt whether you can address it or not. Addressing it is what builds trust. And maybe you can't share your prices. Maybe you say everything is customized and so on and so forth. So just show examples of returns on investment from previous cases. Don't claim that these are forward. Nothing is financial advice, as they say in some industries. But say, we did this for a client over 12 months and the return on investment was this. Make it as tangible as possible. You only need 6 or 8 of these pieces, not 60. Build them properly once and refresh them when the numbers change, maybe every year. And this isn't a posting schedule, it's a sales infrastructure that you're creating, and it's going to be evergreen. The standard is just 1 piece per objection, answered so well you never have to argue it live again. And when you've got the content pieces done, you're just going to put them to work. Step 3 is the bit that no one does. Content doesn't sit on your profile or sit in your website or sit in your blog. You want to use it. Bring it to the surface. Let people see it. You're in a sales conversation and a prospect asks you one of the questions again, or on a sales call, you simply say, "Hey, I made a video that explains this in more detail," or it could be a blog. Just send it to them and let them work it out for themselves by watching it. If you're having a warm conversation that goes quiet, there's only so many times you can say, "Hey, just nudging this up your inbox." You need to have a reason to reach out. So if you have these content assets, you might reach out and say, "Hey, just checking in. We just shared this piece of content you might find useful. It explains insert problem they already said they have." And when you do this right and they click on that link, they'll also see all the other pieces of content that you've created. And all of a sudden, they're stuck in your web of influence. There's a saying that prospects need to have read or watched 7 hours of your content in order to have built enough trust to close them. I think that's overkill. In my experience doing this for dozens of B2B firms, having 6 or 8 solid, well-written or well-recorded pieces with the right amount of authority suited to their market in there is the MVP. That's what you need to get started. It's not going to hurt to do more than that, but you need that as the baseline to smooth out all your conversations. And when someone gets on a call after having watched all 6 or 8 of these, the sales process is much more easily. They're coming in the call a 7 out of 10 in trust. Whenever a prospect says to me, I feel like I know you, or they've seen lots of my videos, I know this sales call is going to be very easy. And for me, who's someone who's not like a natural seller, I'm a lot more comfortable on the call at that point, and it becomes much easier. Start with the list tonight. Get all your call transcripts, put them into any AI, any good AI, and just ask, what are the repeating objections that keep coming up over and over? Then just start by building one piece of content, the objection that comes up the most. Not 8, you'll get writer's block and perfectionism will set in and you won't get started. And if you want to see what a finished set of these look like, you're actually in the middle of it. This video is in our series. You're in one, you're about to go on to the next. If you need some help, send me a message on LinkedIn, or if you want to get some of the other tools and frameworks that we use for ourselves and our clients, go grab them in the link below this video. So the content warms them up, answers the doubts, and does the convincing between touches. But none of it starts the conversation on its own. Somebody still has to send the first message. And the first message is where most outbound falls over. What you actually say to a cold stranger, the exact message that booked 26 meetings for our client. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually write the messages that go out in your outbound campaigns and how to blend these pieces of content in that you've spent so much time on to make them useful. Don't send any messages until you've seen them. Go watch it now.